Welcome to Saudi Arabia. Everything you think you know about this place is probably wrong. What if I told you there's a cliff here where the ground just ends, where you can stand at the edge and look out over what feels like the end of the world? What if I told you there are ancient tombs carved into massive rocks in the middle of nowhere, built over 2,000 years ago by a civilization most people have never even heard of? What if I told you there are mountains here that turn green, villages painted in colors so bright they look fake, and beaches with coral reefs that rival anything in the Caribbean? Saudi Arabia is opening up. For the first time in modern history, anyone can come here, and what they're finding is blowing their minds. So yeah, forget everything you thought you knew, because we're about to show you a side of Saudi Arabia that's going to surprise you. From futuristic cities rising out of the sand, to ruins that have stood silent for millennia. From some of the emptiest deserts on Earth, to mountains where it actually gets cold. This isn't your typical travel video. This is a journey through one of the most misunderstood countries on the planet. And by the end, I promise you'll see it completely differently. Saudi Arabia is huge. Like, really huge. We're talking 2 million square kilometers. That's about the size of all of Western Europe combined. Most of it sits on the Arabian Peninsula, right in the heart of the Middle East. About 35 million people live here, but they're mostly concentrated in 3 big cities: Riyadh, the capital, Jeddah, on the Red Sea coast, and Dammam, on the Gulf. Outside of these cities, mostly wilderness. For decades, Saudi Arabia meant one thing to the world: oil. And yeah, Saudi Aramco is still one of the biggest oil companies on the planet. But something major is happening right now. The country is changing faster than almost anywhere else on Earth. It's called Vision 2030. Basically, it's a massive plan to transform the entire country, building new industries, creating millions of jobs, investing in tech, and most importantly for us, opening up to tourism. In 2019, Saudi Arabia started issuing tourist visas for the first time. Just like that, a country that had been closed off became accessible, and people started discovering what had been hiding here all along. Because here's the thing about Saudi Arabia's geography, it's insane. You've got the Rub al Khali in the south, which is literally the biggest sand desert on Earth. Then you've got the Red Sea coast in the west, with incredible diving. Up in the southwest, near Yemen, there are actual mountains where it rains and everything turns green. And running through the middle of the country is this massive cliff system that you can see from space. Every region feels like a different country. And that's exactly what makes it so fascinating. Riyadh, where the future is being built. Let's start in Riyadh, the capital, sitting right in the middle of the desert. 50 years ago, this was basically a small town with mud buildings. Today, it's a city of over 7 million people, with a skyline that looks like something out of a sci-fi movie. The Kingdom Center Tower has this iconic gap at the top. It's become the symbol of the city. The Al Faisaliyah Tower looks like a giant glass pyramid. And everywhere you look, there are cranes, because they're still building like crazy. But here's what's wild. You can go skiing in Riyadh. In the middle of the desert, there's a mall with an actual indoor ski slope. You can also catch concerts, go to the movies, which only came back a few years ago, hit up art galleries, or just explore the new entertainment districts that are popping up everywhere. The city is trying to become this hub of culture and innovation, and it's happening fast. But the coolest part? You can drive 45 minutes outside the city, and suddenly you're in the middle of nowhere, standing at something locals call the edge of the world. And trust me, the name fits. the edge of the world. The road out there is rough. You'll need a 4x4, and you'll be bouncing around on rocky desert tracks for a while. But when you get there and stand at the edge, the ground just drops, straight down, hundreds of meters, and below you is just nothing. Desert, stretching out forever. No buildings, no roads, no people, just sand and rock and emptiness as far as you can see. Falcons circle overhead. The wind hits you, and it's so quiet you can hear your own breathing. This is part of the Tuwaiq Escarpment, a massive line of cliffs that runs for hundreds of kilometers through central Saudi Arabia. It's so big astronauts can see it from space, and standing there makes you feel incredibly small. People come out here to camp, to take photos, to just sit and think, because there's something about being at the edge of something so vast that puts everything in perspective. This is the Saudi Arabia most people don't know exists. Raw, beautiful, almost alien. Jeddah, where old meets new calm. Now let's head west to the coast, to Jeddah, Saudi Arabia's second biggest city and its window to the world. Jeddah has been a port city for centuries. It's where traders landed, where pilgrims arrived on their way to Mecca, where the kingdom connected with the rest of the world. And you can still see that history in the old town. It's called Al-Balad. And walking through it is like stepping into another time. The buildings here are made from coral stone pulled straight out of the Red Sea. They're stacked high, some of them 4 or 5 stories, and covered in these beautiful wooden balconies called rawasheen. These carved window screens let air flow through while giving families privacy inside. The streets are narrow and winding. You'll see old mosques tucked between shops, spice vendors selling saffron and cardamom, craftsmen working with their hands the way their families have for generations. The whole place smells like history, but step outside Al-Balad and you're back in modern Jeddah. The Corniche runs for miles along the Red Sea parks, cafes, sculptures, families out for evening walks. And in the distance, you can see the construction site for what's going to be the tallest building in the world, the Jeddah Tower. When it's done, it'll be over 1 kilometer tall, taller than Burj Khalifa, taller than anything humans have ever built. It's ambitious, maybe even crazy, but that's kind of the point. The Red Sea, underwater paradise. But honestly, Jeddah's best secret is underwater. The Red Sea here has some of the healthiest coral reefs left on the planet. Unlike places that have been destroyed by tourists and pollution, Saudi Arabia's reefs are still pristine. Clear water, healthy coral, fish everywhere. The visibility is incredible, often 30 meters or more. You'll see sea turtles, rays, reef sharks, dolphins. The colors are insane, and because tourism is still new here, most dive sites are empty. You might have an entire reef to yourself. It feels like discovering something secret. For divers, this is starting to become one of those bucket list destinations, because it's what the Caribbean used to look like 50 years ago before everyone showed up. Mecca and Medina, the spiritual heart. Now we need to talk about the 2 cities that define Saudi Arabia's identity. The places that bring millions of people here every year from every corner of the world. Mecca and Medina. Mecca sits about 80 kilometers inland from Jeddah, surrounded by bare mountains. For Muslims, it's the holiest place on earth. At its center is the Kaaba, that black-draped cube you've probably seen in photos. Muslims face toward it when they pray, no matter where they are in the world. The Kaaba is surrounded by the Grand Mosque, which has been expanded over centuries and can now hold over 1 million people. The scale is just staggering. Every year, Millions of Muslims come here for the Hajj, the pilgrimage that's one of the 5 pillars of Islam. It happens at a specific time of year and involves rituals performed over several days, walking around the Kaaba, going between 2 hills, standing in prayer at Mount Arafat. It's one of the most profound spiritual experiences in any religion. But people also come year-round for Umrah, which is a shorter pilgrimage you can do anytime. Non-Muslims can't enter Mecca. It's been that way for centuries. The city is reserved purely for worship and spiritual focus. A few hundred kilometers north is Medina, the second holiest city. The vibe here is different, calmer, quieter, more peaceful. The Prophet's Mosque, with its iconic green dome, is where Prophet Muhammad is buried. It's massive, with courtyards that can hold hundreds of thousands of people, and inside, the architecture is stunning marble, calligraphy, soft lighting. Medina is where the first Muslim community was established. It's a city of learning, scholarship, and reflection. And like Mecca, it's closed to non-Muslims. These 2 cities are the emotional core of Saudi Arabia. They shape the country's values, its identity, its place in the world. And for the millions who visit, the experience is often life-changing. Alula, where history stands still. All right, now let's head north into the desert to one of the most incredible places you've probably never heard of. Alula. This region is like an open-air museum carved into rock. The landscape alone is worth the trip. Massive sandstone formations rising out of the desert floor, shaped by wind and time into these surreal sculptures. At sunrise, they glow gold. At sunset, they turn blood red. But the real treasure here is Hegra. Hegra, also called Mada in Saleh, was built by the Nabateans, the same people who built Petra in Jordan. But while Petra became world famous, Hegra stayed hidden, quiet, almost forgotten, until 2008, when it became Saudi Arabia's first UNESCO World Heritage Site. And once you see it, you get why. There are over 100 monumental tombs here, carved directly into the cliffs. These aren't simple graves, they're architectural masterpieces, detailed facades with columns and inscriptions in ancient Nabatean script. Each one was chiseled by hand from solid rock. Walking among them feels surreal. The desert silence wraps around you. The scale of the work is mind-blowing, and you can still see the chisel marks, still read the ancient writing. One tomb stands alone in the desert, Qasr al-Farid, the lonely castle. It's 4 stories tall, carved from a single piece of rock, but it was never finished. You can see where the workers stopped. It's haunting. Not far away is Elephant Rock, a natural formation that looks exactly like a giant elephant. Trunk, body, legs, everything. At sunset, it glows orange and red, and the whole desert looks like it's on fire. Today, Alula is being developed into a major cultural destination. Art installations in the desert, music festivals among the tombs, luxury hotels built into the cliffs, but it still feels untouched, like you're discovering something the world forgot about. The Empty Quarter, the biggest desert on Earth. From Alula, let's head south and east into one of the most extreme places on the planet, the Rub al-Khali. The Empty Quarter. This is the largest continuous sand desert in the world, over 600,000 square kilometers of nothing but sand. Just dunes, rolling and shifting as far as you can see. Some of these dunes are over 300 meters tall, taller than most buildings. They change shape with the wind, moving slowly across the landscape like frozen waves. The Empty Quarter is brutal. Summer temperatures hit 50 degrees Celsius or higher. There's almost no water, no landmarks. Getting lost here is easy. Surviving here is hard. For centuries, only Bedouin tribes knew how to live in this place. They're the original desert people, nomadic, tough, living with their herds and following routes passed down through generations. Some Bedouin families still live this way today, keeping traditions alive. The empty quarter is also full of legends. Stories about ancient cities buried under the sand. The most famous is Ubar, the Atlantis of the sands. Supposedly, a wealthy trading city that was swallowed by the desert as punishment. For centuries, people thought it was just a myth. But in the 1990 seconds, archaeologists actually found ruins in southern Oman that might be Ubar. Nobody knows for sure. Visiting the empty quarter isn't easy. You need proper gear, guides who know what they're doing, and respect for the desert's power. But if you go, it's unforgettable. Watching the sunset turn the dunes from gold to crimson, sleeping under more stars than you've ever seen in your life. Waking up to total silence. It's raw, beautiful, and humbling. The empty quarter reminds you how small you are, how powerful nature is, and how some places are meant to stay wild. Rijal Al-Mar, the village of colors. Now let's go southwest, into the mountains of the Asir region. This is where everything changes. The air gets cool, the hills turn green, mist rolls through the valleys, and tucked into these mountains is one of the prettiest villages you'll ever see, Riyal Alma. This place looks nothing like what you expect from Saudi Arabia. The houses are built from stone and mud, stacked up the hillsides. But what makes it special is the color. The buildings are covered in bright geometric patterns, triangles, diamonds, stripes, painted in red, blue, green, and white. It's called Al-Khat Al-Asiri, and it's an art form created by the women of the region. Each pattern has meaning, protection, prosperity, beauty, and every family's home has its own unique designs. In 2017, Al-Khat Al-Asiri was recognized by UNESCO as Intangible Cultural Heritage. Walking through Rijal Al-Mar feels like walking through a painting. The streets wind between stone buildings, some over 300 years old. Small museums show traditional clothing, tools, pottery. The whole village sits high enough that the temperature stays comfortable year-round. Rijal Al-Mar used to be a stop for caravans, traveling between Yemen and the holy cities up north. Traders would rest here, sell goods, stock up on supplies. The village thrived for centuries, and even today, it still feels alive. Families live here, kids play in the streets. The traditions continue. It's proof that Saudi Arabia is way more diverse than most people realize. And it's absolutely beautiful. The Tuwaik Mountains, nature's wall. Back to central Saudi Arabia, where one of the most dramatic geological features on Earth cuts through the desert. The Tuwaik mountain range. This isn't really a mountain range in the traditional sense. It's an escarpment, a massive line of cliffs that runs for over 800 kilometers across the country. It forms a crescent shape so big you can see it from space. NASA has photographed it from orbit. The cliffs rise sharply from the desert floor, sometimes hundreds of meters high. The rock is ancient, formed from layers of limestone, pushed up by tectonic forces over millions of years. Fossils in the stone tell stories of ancient seas that used to cover this area. For centuries, travelers used the Tuwaik as a landmark to navigate across the desert. Even today, it dominates the landscape like a natural fortress protecting the interior. The edge of the world is the most famous viewpoint along Tuwaik. But the whole escarpment is full of hidden trails, secret spots, and incredible views that hardly anyone sees. Hiking here is an adventure. Narrow trails lead to overlooks where you can see for miles. The rock is jagged and weathered, and the silence is broken only by wind and the occasional falcon overhead. It feels raw and untouched. No guardrails, no signs, no crowds, just you, the cliffs, and the desert below. For anyone who loves geology, hiking, or photography, this place is a dream. Dammam. Life on the Gulf. Now, let's head east to the Persian Gulf, where the vibe is totally different. Dammam is the capital of the Eastern Province, and it's part of a metro area that includes Khobar and Dhahran. This is oil country. Saudi Aramco's headquarters is here, but it's also a modern, coastal city with a relaxed feel. The Corniche runs for miles along the water. Palm trees everywhere, parks and green spaces. Families come out in the evenings to walk and enjoy the sea breeze. One of the best spots is Half Moon Bay, about 20 kilometers from the city. It's this crescent-shaped beach with calm, shallow water, perfect for swimming. White sand. On weekends, it fills up with families having picnics and barbecues. Just off the coast is Coral Island, a small nature reserve with mangrove forests and walking trails. It's quiet and green, a nice escape from the city. Because of the oil industry, Dammam is also super cosmopolitan. People from all over the world live and work here. You'll find food from dozens of countries, goods from everywhere, and a mix of cultures that feels different from the rest of Saudi Arabia. But traditional culture is still alive. Local markets sell dates, spices, perfumes, handmade crafts, and Saudi dishes like kabsa, spiced rice with meat, are served in family restaurants. Dammam shows that Saudi Arabia can be modern and diverse while still keeping its identity. It's a city that looks forward but hasn't forgotten where it came from. Wadi Alla, the secret oasis. Deep in the desert, hidden between mountains and rocks, there's a place most tourists never find. Wadi Alla. This is a real oasis. Not the made-up kind, the actual, natural kind, where water flows and life blooms in the middle of nowhere. Natural springs feed streams that run through the valley. The water is channeled into old irrigation systems that keep crops growing. Palm trees tower overhead, casting shade everywhere. Small villages built from adobe blend into the landscape. Walking here feels peaceful. The air is fresh and green. The temperature drops, and the contrast with the surrounding desert is shocking. For centuries, Wadi Alla was a rest stop for caravans crossing the peninsula. They'd refill water, rest their animals, escape the heat. The people who lived here developed deep connections to the land. Today, it's still quiet and mostly untouched by tourism. Life moves slowly, and the sense of calm is incredible. In the mornings, sunlight filters through the palm leaves, and the valley glows gold. In the evenings, the wind carries the smell of green earth. At night, the stars come out in numbers that seem impossible. Wadi Alla is one of those hidden gems, a place you stumble upon and never forget, where nature feels gentle and the world slows down just enough to let you breathe. What it all means? So, here we are. We've traveled from futuristic cities to ancient ruins, from sacred ground to empty wilderness, from towering cliffs to quiet oases, from coral reefs to painted mountains. And one thing is clear: Saudi Arabia can't be summed up in one sentence or one image. It's way too complex for that. This is a country where deep spiritual traditions meet cutting-edge technology, where thousand-year-old streets exist next to skyscrapers, where deserts meet mountains and silence meets ambition. Vision 2030 is pushing the country forward fast. Massive investments in tourism, culture, tech, entertainment, projects like Neom, a futuristic city being built from scratch in the northwest that aim to redefine what's possible. But even with all this change, Saudi Arabia is protecting its heritage, restoring Alula, preserving Al-Balad, recognizing cultural traditions like Al-Kut al-Asiri. The country is trying to do both, honor the past while building the future. And honestly, it's working. You can walk through ancient streets in the morning, watch futuristic construction in the afternoon, and sit around a campfire in the desert at night. You can dive coral reefs, hike massive cliffs, explore ruins, or just get lost in the dunes. Every region feels different. Every traveler will find something that speaks to them. Entertainment is exploding here. Concerts, festivals, movies, sports, things that were unthinkable a decade ago are now normal. International artists perform in Riyadh and Jeddah. Music festivals happen in Alula. Saudi filmmakers are making movies that tell local stories to global audiences. Cinemas are packed, sports too. Formula One races, boxing matches, golf tournaments, football. Saudi Arabia is becoming a destination for major events. And then there's tech. Billions being invested in AI, renewable energy, smart cities. The country wants to lead in innovation, not just follow. All of this is happening incredibly fast. New projects announced all the time. New hotels opening in remote areas. New flights connecting Saudi Arabia to the world. And every year, more people are discovering that this place is nothing like they expected. Saudi Arabia is a conservative country rooted in Islamic values. Alcohol isn't available. Pork isn't sold. Dress modestly, especially outside the big cities. It's not about rules, it's about respect. But don't let that scare you. Saudi hospitality is legendary. If someone invites you for coffee, you'll probably get dates, conversation, and genuine warmth. Guests are treated with honor. Kindness is returned. With kindness, the country is safe. Like, really safe. Crime rates are low, people are friendly, and tourism infrastructure is improving fast. The landscape is diverse. You can find everything from scorching deserts to cool mountains. Plan accordingly, and honestly, just go with an open mind. Saudi Arabia is changing. The world is waking up to what's been here all along. And if you show up ready to explore, you're going to be amazed. Saudi Arabia is not what you think it is. It's not just desert. It's not just oil. It's not just one thing. It's a land of extremes, spiritually profound and wildly ambitious, ancient and futuristic, empty and full of life. It's a country where you can stand at the edge of the world, walk among tombs carved 2,000 years ago, dive pristine reefs, explore painted villages, camp under endless stars, or watch a city transform before your eyes. The doors are open now. The world is invited. And what people are finding here is changing everything they thought they knew. This is Saudi Arabia, and it's just getting started. So the only question left is, which part will you discover first?